Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Sergi, and this is the eighth module of my self-help kit or exercise, you can call it, on the happy life. This is the audiovisual component of module 8. So for more detail, you could read the script version of this module from Michael's website. The title of this module is Re-Evaluation Based on the Self-Concept. Again, re-evaluation based on the self-concept. So what is reevaluation based on the self-concept? You can reevaluate your life circumstances to increase positive affect, meaning feelings, emotions, positive emotions, and decrease negative affect in a particular life domain, and ultimately in how you feel about your life overall. In this module, I'll describe a strategy that focuses on manipulating expectancies based on your self-concept. Specifically, I'll describe how people enhance their subjective well-being through their reevaluations of their social self. Social self is one of the dimensions of the self-concept. So let's focus on the story of Jay. In the last module, we talked about Jay, and let me just remind you of Jay's story. So Jay is satisfied with his family life, somewhat dissatisfied with his work life, and very dissatisfied with his leisure life. Um, so using this reevaluation strategy, Jay focused on the leisure life domain and changed how he felt about his leisure life. And he did so by manipulating the standard of comparison within that domain and reevaluating it using new standards. And in this instance, it would be the standard of comparison is the social self, the social self. So suppose that the reason for feeling very dissatisfied with leisure was due to the type of leisure events he experienced over the last few months. Upon his wife's insistence, he spent his summer vacation with his family, at his in-laws. His relationship with his in-laws have been strained for a long time. His wife thought that spending time with her parents would make things better. Therefore, he felt his last vacation was a complete waste, and that he did not really have a sort of a vacation per se. Uh, so Jay focused on the leisure domain and changed how he felt about his leisure life. And he did so by replacing, again, the standard of comparison within that domain with a dimension of the self-concept, which is the social self, oh, in a way to induce satisfaction. He reevaluated his leisure life by comparing the image of himself as presented to his in-laws with his social self. His social self dictates that he wants his in-laws to see him as a caring person who does not hold any grudges. He feels this is precisely the image he managed to uphold during the visit, um, his visit during the visit to his in-laws. This evaluation made him feel good about the vacation, and he gained his in-laws' approval by presenting himself in ways that matched his social self. Again, the focus is on the social self. So we can capture the essence of this discussion through the following principle. Again, we call this principle, which is the self-concept principle of reevaluation. People satisfied about themselves, people feel satisfied about themselves when they compare themselves against self-expectations and discover that their actual self is better or equal to what they expect of themselves. Conversely, they feel dissatisfied with themselves when they compare themselves to their expectations and find that they have performed less than expected. Positive self-evaluations boost subjective well-being, while negative self-evaluations reduce subjective well-being. Let me restate this principle so that, again, it would sink in. People feel satisfied about themselves when they compare themselves against self-expectations and discover that their actual self is better or equal to what they expect of themselves. Conversely, they feel dissatisfied with themselves when they compare themselves to their expectations and find that they have performed less than expected. Positive self-evaluation boosts uh, uh, subjective well-being, while negative self-evaluation reduce subjective well-being. So again, going back to Jay, what is happening is that he evaluated himself, his actual self, in the context of visiting his in-laws on that vacation with his social self. And given what we know about his social self as being the kind of caring person, he doesn't hold grudges and he wants to gain their approval. Again, that is a dimension of the self-concept, which is the social self. Again, he would, using these self expectations, again, would generate a positive self evaluation, and these positive self evaluations will serve to enhance subjective well being. So the self concept principle advocates that we should evaluate ourselves positively. Positive self-evaluations can play a major role in boosting our subjective well-being. Negative self-evaluations play an adverse role in our perceived quality of life. How do we manage to evaluate ourselves positively? By choosing the right self-referent or the right self-expectancies or expectations. Again, in this context, in this case, it is the social self. There are other expectancies or dimensions of the self-concept besides the social self. These include the ideal self, the deserved self, the minimum needs self, the predicted self, the competent self, the aspired self, on and on. If you wish to know more about these other dimensions of the self-concept and how they are used to evaluate, again, life events, in particular life domains, then I would urge you to read the script version of this module, which is located on Michael's website. And on that note, I will close this module, and I will see you in the context of the next module. Bye now.